Welcome back to the Point Guard Cast with your host Sean and Corey. I'm Corey.
I'm Sean. What's up, brother?
How you been doing, man?
I'm good. How you been?
Good.
Been
a crazy. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's the second episode in a few days. We haven't had one of these moments in a while.
I know. I'm glad though. I'm glad to pump out episodes like every week. Feels good when we get to do that. That consistency feels good.
And it's one of the most fun times of the year. Free agency starting. First day of free agency is over with and in the books, or it's still going on.
I know, but the first day has been crazy already though. This is shaping up to be a crazy free agency period. But before we get into free agency, we got to talk about this Lakers and Russell Westbrook. So Russell Westbrook is headed to LA. He is going to be a Laker. That is crazy.
Yeah. So who would have ever thought that Russell Westbrook and LeBron would be on the same team?
I wouldn't have him, to be honest with you. Especially with all the Buddy Hield news. It just seemed like that's who they were really going to get. But then when when the news came up that it was Russ, I was like, oh, wow. I didn't see that happening at all. Go ahead.
It came out of left field because I thought it was going to be Buddy Hield. The Twitter world thought it was going to be Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield thought it was going to be Buddy Hield. Everybody seemed to think it was going to be Buddy Hield, but then the Russell Westbrook thing swept up, and that's where we are now. And then think about the fact that Kyrie and KD are teammates now.
Right.
How many years ago? 5 years ago, that was completely opposite. Kyrie and LeBron, and then Russ and KD. And they should have met in the finals that year, but the Thunder choked.
Oof, right? And instead it was the word. Man, that is, I don't know, man. It's crazy how much things can change in such little time.
Right.
It's crazy to think another 5 years from now that two superstars could team up that we never thought would ever team up. You just never know.
You never know. Exactly.
But let's get.
And then they have a third. Go ahead. I was going to say something about Anthony Davis. You said two superstars, but Anthony Davis is he's there too.
True, but I'm just saying, in terms of
the KD, LeBron, Steph. Steph, Russ, and Kyrie thing.
Yeah, you just really never know. It's crazy. That's the NBA today. So let's get into the details of this trade. So the Washington Wizards agreed to send Russell Westbrook to the Lakers for Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and the number 22 overall pick.
I like that trade for the Wizards too.
Honestly, yes.
Because you got two legitimate starters. You got three legitimate starters. I think that Montrezl Harrell can also be a starter in the league. You got KCP and Kyle Kuzma were integral parts on the Lakers championship run last year. KCP might have been the third best player on the team during that time and during that playoff run. Kyle Kuzma really learned how to. I think he's gonna do well in Washington.
Oh yeah, I agree.
He could get back to his scoring, what he kind of lacked the last couple of years because you have LeBron and Anthony Davis. He's going to be a second option in Washington, and he can incorporate some of the stuff he learned to become a championship level player into that as well. So he could be the scorer and the improved defender, improved basketball IQ that he sometimes doesn't show, but I know that he has it because I've seen it before.
Oh yeah, no, he's got it, bro. I think for sure.
But I think he can expand on that and be a pretty good player in Washington. I think he's going to average over 20 points a game. He's going to be a good complement to Bradley Beal, and then I'm happy for him. I'm glad that he gets this opportunity to show what he really is. And KCP too, also a champion. He can go and, make some shots, play defense. Yeah, I kind of wish the Lakers would have been able to retain him. But, money situation, you have to match up the money in order for this trade to work. So it is what it is. Thanks to both of them. Even Trent, too. He came last season. It didn't work out. But I appreciate the time that each one of those players gave to us.
Right. I agree with everything you just said. I honestly, it was kind of shocking to me just because Russ and Bradley Beal only got one season together. And their first season, even though it started out very rocky, very rocky. And it seemed like it was gonna fail. To me, ultimately, for the first season together, it was a success because they were able to find a way to make it into the playoffs, which I'm glad I predicted, and then I'm glad they also proved me right.
Yeah, and if they would have started a little bit better, they probably would have had a better chance of like being a higher seed in the playoffs with a better chance of advancing in the playoffs, possibly. But then I guess you still got Milwaukee and Brooklyn at the second and third team. So if you're like 7 or 6, you're still kind of in a little bit of trouble.
True.
If you're Washington.
True, but see, to me, their first year together wasn't really about the two of them making it super far into the playoffs. It was just to show that they can be a playoff contender with just having Russ and Bradley Beal. I always felt like this would be like Bron's first year with the Lakers.
Okay.
Like, this is the year to make a run. This is just a year for them to get together, show what they can do, and then
attract other people.
As they see. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I felt like. So to me, that would start with them making the playoffs, and that they did that. Now, they ran into Philadelphia in the first round, and Philadelphia was a great team this year throughout the whole year and was the 1 seed in the East. So them getting destroyed by Philly, to me, wasn't a surprise. My biggest thing was, hey, y'all weren't projected to make the playoffs. There's a lot of people who didn't feel like y'all would make the playoffs, but you made it anyway.
Yeah.
So to me, they had a lot to be proud of. So I just thought if they were to run it back this year, that of course Washington would pick up some new pieces. And to me, they would have an even deeper playoff run going into their second year together. But that didn't happen. Russ is with the Lakers now. But Bradley Beal does have some really great players around him. Like, Kuzma could legitimately be his second star.
Yeah, he can be the second option, scoring option on the team.
Like, they got some really good play. Like, having Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, and KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, like, that's going to help them out so much no matter what. To me, they're still going to be a playoff contending team with adding these 3 players. Even though they gave up a star like Russ, they got 3 great role players who, like you said, are legitimate starters, especially 2 of them, and I think it's going to do nothing but help them. And I also think that them adding 3 players like this is still going to attract other players to want to come play in Washington. So although, again, you lose a player like Russ and it seems like it's a bad thing, it's really not, because of what you were able to get. Especially since you were able to get 2 players who have won a ring and know what it takes to win one now, you know?
Right.
So I think Washington is in good hands. Yes, it does suck to lose Russ. I know they love Russ in Washington. They embraced having Russ there. But it's okay because they are still, to me, they are still in good standing, and I still think they'll be a playoff contending team.
Speaking of loving Russ, I think that the Laker fans are really going to love Russ.
Oh yeah, for sure. He back at home now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of those players. He's one of those people. Russ is one of those guys that you want on your side. No matter, like, if you're talking about, we're not talking about fit right now. We're not talking about basketball right now. Russell Westbrook is a person that you want on your side when you're in a battle.
Right.
And that's one of the things the Laker fans, well, us Laker fans, if I include myself in it, we're gonna love about Russell Westbrook. That's not something I ever question about Russell Westbrook. The question I have, and I still have at this moment, is the fit that Russell Westbrook is gonna bring to the Lakers, like how he fits with the team. I like it a little bit better today after these free agency signings, some of these free agency signings, than I did when the trade happened, and I didn't know where they were gonna go. I'm a little bummed that Alex Caruso chose Chicago. Well, I'm a little bummed that Alex Caruso left for Chicago. Apparently, he went to the Lakers and they didn't counter his offer. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just a little bummed that he left. But I do like the signings of. Well, are we going to talk about the trade first, or are you getting into signings now?
No. We'll continue to talk about Russ a little bit, then we'll get into those signings.
Okay. But either way, I like the trade more than I did.
I mean, this is the thing. A lot of people keep harping on space and Lakers not getting shooters, which of course we'll get into that a little later also. But I mean, you got Russell Westbrook. He averaged a triple-double last year. He averaged 22, 11, and 11. He's averaged a triple-double for 4 out of the last 5 seasons. He's playing alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You best believe they will find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing. I understand that Russ is the greatest shooter. They know that. They wouldn't have found a way to trade for him if they didn't have a backup plan.
Right.
Everybody was kind of panicking. Not even kind of. Everybody was panicking and saying there's no spacing. There's no shooting. Like, this doesn't help the Lakers' lack of shooting. And it's like, they understand that. Like, they wouldn't have traded for him if they didn't think about things like that beforehand.
Right, yeah.
So I just think everybody was freaking out and overreacting for no reason. It's going to work out. He's playing alongside, in my opinion, 2 top 10 players in the NBA, although some people would disagree, which is whatever. But he also realizes that he has to change his game in order to stay and play with a team that is a team like the Lakers, who are contenders every year.
Mm-hmm.
I know he saw what James Harden was able to do with the Nets, how he was able to completely change his game to fit what the Nets needed, and how it really changed the Nets offensively and defensively. And I know he's going to pretty much do the same exact thing with the Lakers.
Oh yeah, I'm confident that Russell Westbrook is going to, be a positive for the team, especially in the regular season.
Right.
It's the playoffs where this offseason and their additions in this offseason really makes a difference. Because in the regular season, this allows LeBron James to rest a little bit if he wants to. This allows Anthony Davis to rest a little bit if he wants to. Because think about the fact that any 2 combination of those guys can win a regular season game at any given day. If you choose to let Russell Westbrook rest, you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis who prove that they can win championships together. If you want to let LeBron James rest, Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook is a hell of a, 1-2 punch to go win yourself a game or 2 games or whatever.
Right.
Same thing with Russ and LeBron. So you got that to fall back on. We've seen that. I guess we've seen that with Brooklyn when one of the guys are hurt or a couple of guys are hurt. They're still able to win some games. They lost some games because they lacked on defense. They were still able to win some because of the star power. And I think the star power was going to help Los Angeles, the Lakers in the regular season more than anything.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up because you're right. Sometimes one of the biggest things that the Lakers had an issue with this year was just being healthy. Now, it doesn't help that they also had a short off season going into this past season. But you're kind of right in saying that now adding a star like Russell Westbrook, who is going to play every game, who pretty much probably played through little nagging injuries.
Yeah, how many times?
Go ahead.
How many times have we seen Russell Westbrook start slow in a season, and it turns out it's because he had some kind of nagging injury and he was trying to play through it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Go ahead with your point.
But I'm pretty much just harping on what you were saying. It's just, no matter what people think, I know the Lakers will find a way to work it out.
Absolutely. I
also know that Russ, at this point, is tired of people sleeping on him as hard as they've been sleeping on him. He's tired of all the talk. Mm-hmm. I know he's tired of the fan disrespect, but I feel like he's also tired of former teammates disrespecting him.
Yeah, you're right.
And now he just really wants to know what it feels like to win a championship or to be on a contending team that he is not only that he's confident in, but they're confident in him also.
And we talk about how Russell Westbrook, he's the problem on his teams or whatever. The media talks about that. But when's the last time Russell Westbrook had a team that didn't have a team that was better than his team? That basically, when's the last time he had a team that was expected to win a championship? Probably that 2016 Thunder team. That Thunder team probably should have won a championship.
Yeah.
That's the last team that Russell Westbrook's been on that you would say that people expected them to win because they had the best team.
That's a good point. I'm glad you brought it. I haven't heard anybody else bring that up. That's a good point.
And now I guess this team now is that if you don't them in the Nets.
Okay. I agree with that. Bottom line is, it'll work out with Russ. People were freaking out for no reason. You know the Lakers had to have some sort of backup plan just in case they couldn't get Buddy Hield, and they decided to go with Russ, which clearly they did. You clearly know that they're going to pick up other people. I don't know why people were acting like the season was going to end as soon as they got Russ, and the Lakers weren't going to get anybody else.
Right. It's probably because they didn't have any money to they have any real flexibility. But I ultimately think that Russell Westbrook was option number one for the Lakers, because if we all thought it was going to be Buddy Hield, why is it not Buddy Hield if he was the number one option? I think it was Russ the whole time.
True, because I do think if it was Buddy Hield as the number one option, they would have gone all in to try and get him.
Yeah.
Over Russ. Okay, that's a pretty valid point. Bottom line, I like Russ to the Lakers. I think it's going to work out. He's definitely going to change his game to help out the Lakers however he can.
Yeah, they even had a conversation about that apparently.
Oh yeah, they did talk about that they had a meeting talking about like sacrificing egos to help win. Yeah, you're right. I forgot all about that. That's a good point. So Russ to the Lakers, I do like the move. I will say, I will have to agree with you with what you said earlier. Staples Center is going to be so crazy that very first game with Russ coming in that building. It's going to be crazy. It's probably going to be like, even though LeBron's very first game with the Lakers was in Portland, that place was still rocking when he had that first dunk, even though it was an away game for the Lakers. I could tell that Staples is going to be 10 times louder than that. So I'm excited to see how they play together. That's for sure. Yeah. Now let's get into this first day of free agency, because this day was crazy. A lot of moves.
Yeah.
Some moves were questionable. Some contracts, man. But let's get into it. So the Chicago
it's not our money. It's not our money.
Listen, I'll say this. If I'm a GM, I would be a big advocate of just because you got it don't mean you should spend it.
Yeah.
That's how I would be. But there are definitely some GMs who are like, I got it, so I'm going to spend it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, hey, listen, like you said, it's not our money. So let's get to this first one. So the Chicago Bulls, Alonzo Ball from the Pelicans via sign and trade on a 4-year, $85 million agreement.
That dropped at like 6:01. That dropped at like 6 o'clock and 30 seconds. Shams had that tweet in his drafts, ready to suppress sin.
Probably. You know what? There was rumors about Lonzo going to the Bulls, and I had hoped so, but I had also hoped that somebody else was also going to go with him, because the biggest thing I had been saying for the Bulls is they just need to keep Zach LaVine happy. And I felt like they kind of were starting to show signs of that's what they wanted to do when they went out and got Vooch last year. But then I know he was kind of disappointed in them not making the playoffs last year and how things ended. So I was like, listen, they need to make moves that'll keep him happy. So when I heard about Lonzo Ball, I was like, that's a start, but I need somebody else. Yeah. So then the news came up that they also were able to acquire Alex Caruso for 4 years, $37 million.
Yeah. Do you think the Lakers couldn't afford that? Like why would they had his full bird rights and they just let him walk $37 million over 4 seasons?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I thought that was a big loss for the Lakers just because of how well Alex Caruso had been playing with them for the last few years. Like when they won their title in 2020, you needed him.
He was legit one of the reasons they were winning some games. Like he had the best plus minus on the team. Yeah, 90% of the nights.
Like again, he's like what Draymond is to the Warriors right now in terms of everything he does doesn't show up on the stat sheets.
Right, and they're gonna have to replace that. Who are they gonna replace that with? Who's gonna replace that type of
production? Listen, I have no clue. That's the reason why I was like, when I saw that KCP had gone, I was like, okay, there's no way that they let Caruso walk. There's no way. Like you need one of them. There's no way you can let both of those guys walk. They were way too important to that championship run in 2020. Like, there's no way. But we saw KCP. They traded KCP first, and then you saw that they let Caruso walk today. And it's like, who are you gonna get to make up for missing those two players? Like, it's hard to replace the way that they play. It really is. So that was shocking to me. But I will say it's very good for the Bulls, of course, because I know that's going to make Zach LaVine super happy.
Yeah, they got a defensive minded. Nobody's going to score on Lonzo and Caruso, man. That defensive minded backcourt is going to be crazy.
It is. They're going to come up with a lot of steals.
Yeah, and then they try. Never mind. I don't know if that's going to work out. I heard they was trying to get DeMar DeRozan as well.
That would be interesting. I don't know if it can happen, but I could believe it though. Yeah. Again, like I said they need to make sure they keep Zach LaVine happy. How do you keep him happy? By making moves like this. Mm-hmm. I do think that he wants a somebody that's either a superstar type of player or an all-star type of player. So if they go out and try and get DeMar DeRozan, that will make him even happy. And if you got him, DeMar DeRozan, Vucevic, Caruso, and Lonzo Ball, I mean, he's not going anywhere. Yeah. There would be no need for Zach LaVine to go anywhere, as long as they know that he's still the number one option on that team. So I think he made a comment like, he's made a couple comments, but I just think he just wants the Bulls to make sure that no matter who they get, that he's the number one option. I think that's what he cares about the most.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. He just wants that respect. That's all. So that was good. Those two moves right there by the Chicago Bulls were very good. They were worth the money. And the Chicago Bulls they will be in the playoffs next year. I'm just going to let people know that right now. It's kind of hard to say that they wouldn't be. But so let's get into the next deal. So then the Dallas Mavericks re-signed Tim Hardaway Jr. into a 4-year, $72 million deal. That was big. They definitely need to keep Tim Hardaway. I know there were some people who wanted Tim Hardaway on the Lakers. I'm not sure if you were one of those people. Did you want him?
I was. Okay. But I had a feeling that he was going to get more money than what the Lakers would offer him.
Right, and I also feel like he didn't want to leave Luka. Like I feel like him and Luka, were kind of on the same page last playoffs in terms of how their styles of play complement each other. And so I really felt like he really wanted to do whatever he could to stay in Dallas. Felt like he would only leave if Dallas kind of pushed him away.
Yeah.
I just feel like he didn't want to leave Dallas. So that's good for Dallas. That helps them out a lot. It also helps them keep Luka there too. Then the Jazz agreed to a 3-year, $72.5 million deal with Mike Conley.
Yeah, I think that was a good signing. I think that Conley kind of gave them a discount for what he's actually worth. I think Conley could have got more. If he would have went somewhere else, I think there's teams that need point guards that would have paid Conley more. And I think the fact that the Jazz were able to have the success in the regular season and the playoffs, I guess, that they had last season, he was able to be like, okay, maybe I can come back for a little bit less.
Right. I kind of agree. I think he's another player that liked where he was at last year, liked the team, didn't like how things ended with them in the playoffs last year, and he just really wants to run it back with that team. I also think he really loves playing with Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, it's a good backcourt. Conley and Donovan Mitchell. It's a good, for sure. It's a good contrast. Conley brings the defense and the shooting, and Donovan Mitchell is like an all-around Dwayne Wade type of player.
Right. Yeah, so I think that was a perfect signing too. I really didn't think he was going anywhere. Like, I know he was rumored to go a couple places. I know the Lakers are in the mix, but I was like, he's probably not going to leave the Jazz right now.
Yeah, and again, another situation of a guy that obviously deserves more than what the Lakers can give them.
True. Very true. So then the Miami Heat agreed to a 5-year, $90 million contract to keep Duncan Robinson. They also get Kyle Lowry via sign and trade.
Yeah, that's the one I like. I like Duncan Robinson too.
I had to bring up Duncan Robinson first because that blew my mind. 5 years, $90 million. Like, sometimes I hear some of these contracts and these numbers, and I'm like, I just wish I could sit in on like the meetings that they have with them, their agent, and like the team, see what they say to get these contracts.
Yeah, I say Cameron Payne's agent should be fired. I think that Duncan Robinson's agent needs a raise.
Yeah, he does. 5 years, 90. Listen, nobody else would have given Duncan Robinson that.
That's not like he's a bad player. He's just a specialist.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you said, not saying he's a bad player. Clearly, he's not. But clearly, his specialty is shooting. Mm-hmm. Like really, just shooting. So like,
let me put it this way: you think Duncan Robinson is that much more valuable than Alex Caruso?
No.
That's like he got a hell of a lot more money than Alex Caruso.
So he got a lot more money than a few people. But listen, that's what the Heat agreed to. They felt like he was worth it. They gave it to him.
Like I said, they money.
Right. But I do like them getting Kyle Lowry via sign and trade though.
Oh, I love that. That like he fits them like a glove. Like that play style fit very well. Go ahead, you got it.
The only thing is seeing that they got him via sign and trade. Sometimes it just makes me wonder what would have happened if they were able to get James Harden last year.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I just keep thinking about that. I also think because I see it on Twitter a lot with a lot of Heat fans talking about we could have got James Harden. So then it also makes me think the same thing with them getting Kyle Lowry. But like,
they didn't want to give up Tyler Hero. We know that.
Yeah, I know, but that's just anyway. But I think Kyle Lowry, of course, how would he not? But he helps them out a whole lot. To me, the Heat didn't really have a bad season last season. It was just the Bucks' year. Like if they could play anybody else besides the Bucks in that first round, they might make it out the first round. But the Bucks were out for blood.
Maybe not anybody else because the Nets is this. But
okay, yeah, not anybody. But listen, the Bucks were just out for revenge on them last year. The Bucks weren't going to give them a chance at all. That's the reason why 3 out of those 4 games were blowouts. Like they were trying to make a statement when they played the Heat last year.
And I think Kyle Lowry gives the Heat. It changes that a little bit. That's another team that's also going after DeMar DeRozan. It'd be interesting if they can reunite Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan in Miami with Jimmy Butler, who also got an extension to where he'll be making $50 million at age 36.
Ooh, that's crazy. I will say this. I do think that DeMar DeRozan is more likely to go to Miami than to Chicago.
Yeah.
Especially because Kyle Lowry is there. I know he wouldn't mind having a reunion with Kyle Lowry, especially since things didn't really end bad. But also, he knows that him and Kyle Lowry can make that a contending team alongside Jimmy Butler. Yeah. Like, not just a playoff contending team, but like a championship contending type of team. Mm-hmm. And I know he knows that. So, I could see him going there, honestly. And if that happens, that'll be crazy. Then we got the Phoenix Suns agreeing to 4 years up to $120 million deal with Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I know that there are probably a lot of people who don't like that.
In terms of like Suns fans or like just regular?
Both. Just because Chris Paul is 36, so this will be up until he's 40. And I think there are a lot of people who just don't think he can play at this level for the next 4 years. But I mean, the Suns do. If they didn't, they wouldn't have given him that money. You know what I'm saying? So how do you feel about it?
The Chris Paul thing?
Yeah.
I think that Chris Paul, he's an interesting case because he seems like he can stay healthy now. But like sometimes he does things like he'll fall on purpose. Like he'll fall and like he'll shoot a jump shot and choose to not land on his feet. And then he'll be banged up. And it's like you're choosing to be banged up because you're choosing not to land on your feet when you shoot a jump shot. And you're like kind of getting up there in age. You're 36 years old. You might need to stop trying to cheat the game and play basketball. And if you do that, I think he can last this long. I don't know if he's going to be able to give the same type of production that he's able to give right now.
Right.
But if he can give something close to it, I don't know if he's worth this contract still, but he's still a formidable player in the NBA.
Okay. That's a fair take. I pretty much agree with that. That's a fair take. Yeah, to me, he really wasn't getting that money anywhere else. But also, I know that there are still a lot of people out there who feel as though his leadership might be overrated. I still don't. To me, again, he proved that back with OKC the year before. That his leadership is clearly not overrated, and he proved that this year. His first year with the Suns. So, in my opinion, he is worth a lot of money. I just don't know about up to 120 mil. But I do like the 4-year contract because even if his production does fall off, let's say next year or the year after, it's not like they can't get somebody in there to make up for his production. They just really need and like his leadership.
I mean, but if he does fall off, how you gonna get rid of him? You can't. Well,
the goal. I don't think the goal is to get. Yeah, of course not. But the goal isn't to get rid of him. I think that the Suns are just using him for his leadership. Is what I'm saying.
Paying him $50 million for leadership.
Hey, I'm not paying nobody nothing. They're doing that. I'm not paying anybody anything. That's what they want to do. But that's what I feel like they're using it for. Do you see what I'm saying?
I mean, I get
that's just my opinion. Though. I don't mean I'm right, but I'm just saying that's what I feel like they're using it for. But we don't.
This has the potential to be a very bad contract.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure. But see, only time will tell, though. But again, when you're 36, like you said, he gets hurt a lot now, and this contract is supposed to go up until he's 40. It's like, I didn't even think Chris Paul wanted to play up until he was 40.
Yeah, he's the president of the Basketball Association, so it's like he kind of gets what he wants. Okay.
That might be partially. There might be some truth to that. I can't lie. So the next deal was the Toronto Raptors agreed to a 3-year, $54 million deal to keep Gary Trent Jr.
I like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Gary Trent worked that in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that.
The only thing is, who y'all gonna have with Gary Trent?
They probably not. You know, it's probably the Toronto as a contender days are probably over.
Man, that's sad to say.
Yeah.
That's sad to say, but I feel like you're right. I'm going to be honest with you. But I think he just likes having his own team.
Gary Trent has his own team? There's nobody else on that team? Where's Pascal Siakam?
He likes feeling like when he was with Portland, he was like a third, fourth option.
Okay. Yeah.
He kind of likes feeling like he's a 2, maybe a 1 option when they really need it.
Yeah, I like Gary Trent. I feel
he likes showing what he could do, especially because I feel like he feels like he was disrespected in that Portland trade.
Yeah. I like Gary Trent though. I feel like every time he plays the Lakers, he like scorches us. So that's pretty much the only time I really see him. But
Gary Trent steps it up versus top teams. That's what he does. That's all he ever did for Portland. That's what he's going to do, and that's what he's doing with the Raptors. So I think he was worth that money. I don't think anybody would complain about Gary Trent getting that money from the Raptors anyway, would they?
I don't think so.
Now this next one, questionable. So the Knicks agreed to a 4-year deal with Evan Fournier that could be worth up to $78 million.
Knicks gonna Knicks.
But at least they did this. Then they agreed to a 3-year, $43 million deal to keep Derrick Rose. I like that move a lot.
Yeah.
Evan Fournier. Oh man, would you give Evan Fournier $78 million?
No. I mean, he's played well for like the international team, right?
Right.
So apparently, maybe if he had,
I mean, he's done well for the international team. He wasn't bad in Boston, but like $78 million is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. But like, it's the Knicks. They have money to spend every year, and then they find somebody to spend it on.
That is kind of true. You're right, but I don't know. But I do like them re-signing D Rose though.
Yeah, me too.
Them re-signing Derrick Rose to me was huge. I feel like he helped out a lot. I feel like he helped lead that team to the 4th seed. But even if it wasn't as the leading scorer, it was just having that veteran presence on the team. That team needed that.
But it also probably means that Derrick Rose will probably never win a championship.
Yeah, I mean, that's sad to say. But listen, it's also the Knicks. You never know what could happen in the future. Again, there's still people who try to go to. I mean, the Knicks are always. I know it's always just a rumor, but I feel like every year when they have rumors of superstars wanting to come there, that there's a lot of truth to it.
But it never happens.
I get that it never happens, but I mean, all the superstars that brag about playing in Madison Square Garden and brag about playing in New York, somebody's going to end up going there. I just hope that if somebody does, it's while Derrick Rose is there. So that way he can have a chance to make it to a finals and possibly win a chip.
Yeah.
But I do say I had to agree with you. Him doing this, it does kind of seem like we might not ever see Derrick Rose win a chip, which is sad.
Yeah, he's still a Hall of Famer regardless, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Listen, you never know what can happen. Like I always say, you never know what can happen in today's NBA. That Evan Fournier thing is still crazy to me. But the Clippers agreed to a 2-year deal with Nick Batum. I saw that coming. I know they love the way he played for them offensively and defensively. They would be stupid not to try and get him back.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't try to get him back, some other contending team would have signed him. Like, it would have been like the Lakers or the Nets would have tried to pick him up. I'm going to keep it real with you. Yeah. If they didn't keep him, a contender was going to pick him up for sure.
Yeah, he wasted a lot of years in Charlotte that he can't get back.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's all I got to say about Nick Batum.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about Nick Batum except for he's playing really well with the Clippers. He's doing exactly what they need him to do. Again, they just, in this playoff run they had this year, they didn't end up having Kawhi in the series that they needed him the most due to injury. But with seeing what Paul George could do without Kawhi, seeing with how Reggie Jackson could step it up, Kawhi coming back, even though it won't be until like right before playoff time, but then having Nick Batum come back and the production that he gave them, I know the Clippers got a lot of high hopes for their team.
Yeah.
And clearly he has a lot of high hopes for them as well. So to me, that's a good thing. That's something they need. Then the Bucks agreed to a 2-year, $9 million deal with Bobby Portis.
Yeah, that's
I know
good.
he wasn't going nowhere unless they pushed him away. He loves Milwaukee now.
I like it for them.
They needed him too. He definitely played well in the playoffs when they needed him to. Whenever he got minutes, he never let them go to waste. Whether that was on offense or on defense. So I knew that they wanted to re-sign him, but I knew for sure that he wanted to re-sign and he wanted to come back. So I'm glad they brought Bobby Portis back. Then the Trailblazers agreed to a 5-year, $90 million deal to keep Norman Powell. Mm-hmm. They better because they shouldn't have got rid of Gary Trent for him. That's just my opinion, though.
I think Norman Powell's a good signing for them.
No, it wasn't bad. I just don't think he's better than Gary Trent. That's all. I don't think he's that much better than Gary Trent, in my opinion, that they needed to trade him for Gary Trent.
Right. Maybe they thought Gary Trent was too similar to CJ. I'm not saying he's CJ McCollum, but he was too similar to CJ McCollum to where Norman Powell went there. He starts. Gary Trent doesn't start for that team. He's coming off the bench, which you need players like Gary Trent coming off the bench. But maybe they felt like they needed another wing.
Maybe. I don't know what it was. Regardless,
because their role coach didn't work out as well as they thought it would.
Right. Regardless, all I know is they better have given him a contract like this. That's all I'm saying. They also better hope that in the next couple of years, Dame really decides to stay. Like, clearly he's going to be there for this year, but next year? No, I don't know. That's another conversation for another day, though. Then the Nets agreed to a 1-year deal to keep Blake Griffin. That helps them. I know a lot of Nets fans want to keep Blake Griffin. He played well with them. I'll tell you that. Detroit needs their money back.
Yeah.
Because Blake Griffin looks like a completely different Blake Griffin with the Nets. Blake Griffin really had everybody thinking that he was done while he was in Detroit. But you can clearly see with the Nets he's not. So I know that helps the Nets out a lot. I know that makes KD happy. You could tell that they loved having Blake Griffin in Brooklyn. So that helps them out a lot. Mm-hmm. So signing Blake was important. But what I don't like though is them not trying to keep Jeff Green. I felt like Jeff Green was kind of like Alex Caruso, KCP type of player to the Lakers.
Yeah.
For the Nets, that was just my opinion, though. I guess they didn't feel the same way, but I just felt like there were certain times where they needed a bucket and they needed a three. Jeff Green hit it for them when Joe Harris wasn't. When they needed a stop and James Harden or KD or Kyrie couldn't defend somebody or somebody else on the team couldn't defend them, Jeff Green defended that person and got the stop they needed. That's just my opinion. I guess they didn't feel the same way or what. LeBron probably did too, because I mean he's been playing well. I mean he played well with LeBron in 2018. He played well with Brooklyn recently. Like he's shown that he is a great role player and he can adapt well to whatever team he plays for. And to me, he proved that in Brooklyn, but I guess they just didn't see that the same way. I don't know. I just feel like that's going to be a piece that they regret. The same way I feel like the Lakers will regret not being able to keep Caruso and KCP.
Yeah.
But, I mean, only time will tell. So then the Hawks give Trae Young a 5-year, $207 million rookie max extension. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you give Trae Young a rookie max? He definitely worth it, especially with the playoff run he had this year. That I know a lot of Hawks fans feel if he didn't have an ankle injury that, maybe they make it to the finals. I don't think that's true, but there's some Hawks fans who feel that way.
Yeah. I
think regardless, it was the Bucks year, but I like that max contract. And then OKC gives Shai a 5-year, $172 million rookie max extension. That one makes sense too. Even though, am I crazy, or was he not in like OKC trade rumors like a week ago?
Yeah, he was.
So that's weird. I guess those rumors are false, but I swear I thought I saw that he was in some trade rumors not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes out today that he's getting a max contract. Whatever. Regardless, rumors are rumors. Apparently, they must have not been true because he got his extension. He got the max. I do feel like he's worth the rookie max, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't feel like they made a bad decision with that at all. That's smart for OKC. And then last but not least, the Lakers. So the Lakers were able to sign Kent Bazemore to a 1-year deal, Trevor Ariza to a 1-year deal, Wayne Ellington to a 1-year deal, and then they brought back Dwight Howard.
Yeah, they brought back all those players. All those players were Lakers before. Every last one of them. Trevor Ariza was the last player in the league that won a championship with Kobe.
That's so crazy. But you're right.
And now he's back to try to win with LeBron.
Right. So you being a lifelong Lakers fan,
mm-hmm.
How do you feel about them re-signing these former players?
I like it.
Now, of course, Dwight was pretty recent, and we saw him win a championship with them in 2020. But how do you feel about them re-signing Kent Bazemore and Wayne Ellington, for sure? I know how you feel about Ariza because you saw him win a chip with Kobe. But how do you feel about Kent Bazemore and Wayne Ellington?
I really like Wayne Ellington. I really like Wayne Ellington signing. He's a shooter. He's that shooter that we needed. Like Wayne Ellington, I think he shot like 42% from 3 last season, or like 6 attempts, something crazy like that. That's really good shooting. And I think he's a starting caliber player for that team more than any other player that they signed. I like Kent Bazemore too. His defense is very good. I don't know about his offense, but his defense is very good. And I think they need some winning defenders after you let KCP and Alex Caruso go.
Mm-hmm.
You needed some defenders at that position, at the guard, at the 2 guard, 3 position that can guard either one. So I really like what the Lakers have done. Obviously, these guys are all kind of old. They're all on minimum deals. But I think that with old comes experience. And obviously the LeBron and AD and Russ are like, they're like having an influence on who they want on the team. So I trust guys like that, especially LeBron and AD to some degree. He just won a championship as well. So we'll see how it goes. I like it though. How do you feel about it?
I think it was good moves. I think they got shooters. I think they got the shooting that they needed. I do still think that they are trying to sign for one more shooter for cheap. Don't really know who it could be. I'm still rooting for LeBron and JJ Redick to play with each other in one time. But I do think they got the shooting that they needed, got the defending that they needed, like you said, after losing KCP and Caruso. But this is what I think is the most interesting thing out of all of these players who they signed back. Kent Bazemore was just with the Warriors, right?
Yeah.
The Warriors next year are going to have Steph, Clay, and Draymond. Hopefully all fully healthy.
Yeah. Hopefully.
You don't really have to worry about Draymond. You really don't have to worry about Steph. It's just kind of Clay now, seeing how he would be. It's surprising to me that he chose not to stay in the Bay Area but come over to LA and play with LeBron because he wanted to play with a contending team. And when you're on a team like the Warriors, who, again, have Steph, Clay, Draymond, who have won a chip together, what does that say about them that he didn't have the confidence to stay with them next year? I wouldn't even say it's anything about the players necessarily, but like maybe it's something about the organization behind the scenes that he didn't like.
Yeah,
like there had to be something going on that he didn't have the confidence to stay there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like maybe it's just me, but I would have thought that he would have wanted to play with the Splash Brothers when they're fully healthy. But he chose to come play with LeBron, and he said he wanted to play with a contending team. And it's like, it's not like the Warriors aren't contenders; they just haven't been healthy.
Yeah, I think that you may be on something. I also think that maybe he just wanted to play with who he thought was the better duo or big three in Russ, AD, and LeBron. But I do think that it'll be very cool if the Lakers were to win a championship with these guys. Like guys that they're bringing back that they previously had on the team during the down years, excluding Trevor Ariza, but guys like Wayne Ellington. Well, you got Dwight Howard got his chip last year, so we're not really counting him either. But Wayne Ellington and Kent Bazemore, they were like on the team when the team was at its absolute lowest point in the franchise history.
That's true.
And for them to come back, and have a chance to win a championship, I think that's a cool story. And I think if they win the championship, it's going to be an even cooler story. And especially if they get players like Carmelo or like players like Russell Westbrook, Carmelo, players that never won a championship, that teams say, that people say are the problems on their team, the reason they don't win championships. If they can win a championship as well, it's crazy. I think that's a good story. I think that's a story that you make a documentary off of. Especially if they play and win and beat the Nets in the playoff in the finals. That's a 30 for 30 right there. Russell Westbrook's story of beating Kevin Durant for a championship after all that happened with LeBron James. Yeah.
Ooh, you got a good point there.
That's a 30 for 30 word.
Yeah, see, I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. That would be that would be crazy. It would especially be crazy to see like Dwight Howard like winning the ring with the Lakers, and then him going elsewhere the next year, and then coming back another year and then winning another ring with the Lakers.
Yeah, this is his third stint with the team.
Right, which is crazy. Like, how many players get a third stint with any team? But then how many players get a third stint with the Lakers?
And it's 1 year every single time.
Right.
It's a 1 year deal this time. It was a 1 year deal last time. And the first time it was a trade and he didn't re-sign.
That's so crazy. Regardless, today was a crazy first day of free agency.
Yep.
I was not expecting this much to go down. But like you said, like as soon as time was up, as soon as the free agency started, you had a deal like 30 seconds later. I was like, man, they was ready and waiting this year. It was crazy, but definitely a crazy first day. It'd be interesting to see if day 2 gets any crazier. Do you think day 2 will be any crazier?
Yeah, there's still a lot of names that haven't been signed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So it depends on where everybody else lands. If Kawhi Leonard chooses to like spurn the Clippers and go somewhere else, where DeMar DeRozan goes, what they do, he's also still being linked to the Lakers after all the stuff that's happened with the roster. It's like he'd have to take a significant pay cut to go there. Carmelo Anthony, all these other players that, you know, haven't been signed yet. Let's see what they do.
That is true. Okay, before we get out of here, I got a question. Do you like the way Kawhi Leonard goes about free agency and stuff?
No. But he gets a pass. He gets a pass because he's not outspoken about it. He says like 10 words at a time and then it's over with. So he gets a pass for most things. But no. Did you hear about
at this point? Go ahead.
You hear about the stuff that he had going on with Russell Westbrook and Paul George? How Russell Westbrook was trying to get to LA with him, and then he like didn't like call him back or something and call Paul George instead.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So me as a Laker fan, I'm like, yes, Russell, drink all that, and I'm glad you know that now.
Yeah, see, Russell's trying to come to a contender for a reason. Like I said, I feel like he's got some former teammates or just players in the NBA or fans and media outside the NBA that just disrespected him a lot lately. And so that's the reason why I feel like him going to the Lakers, he's going going into LA with something to prove.
Yeah. And
so hearing about something like this to me only adds fuel to Russ's fire.
Absolutely.
And I think he's going to play out of his mind in the playoffs for the Lakers. So I just want to get your opinion on this Kawhi situation in LA, because I know that all these Clippers players have to hate it.
Mm-hmm.
See, I thought he was only like maybe doing it to the Spurs, but now he's kind of doing the same thing to the Clippers. Like that's not cool.
Look, hey, not my team.
Right,
I'm trying to dodge the bullet with that guy. To be honest with you,
man. Right. Lakers definitely dodged the bullet with that, but yeah, crazy first day of free agency. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm hyped for day 2 now. I feel like something else crazy is gonna happen, or I feel like day 2 might be even crazier than. But I don't know for sure. We'll see. But this has been another episode of the Point Guard Cast. We'll see y'all next time.